Okay. Hello, dear students. This is Mr. Mario again with a tutorial for Tinkercad SimLab. In this case, we will start combining the three connectors that we learned during the previous lesson. The axle connector, the pivot connector, and the slider connector. So, for this first video, we will create a goalkeeper machine. So basically it works with a crank mechanism, and when I try to throw a ball, my robot will try to stop it before it enters to the football area. Good? Okay. So before we start, let's analyze this machine. Let's analyze it, this mechanism. We have a motor, yes, an electrical motor. If you attend my lesson, probably you are already familiar with this kind of DC motors that you may find if you open a toy, a mechanical toy using a screwdriver. We have here this axle connector that is a motor. Yes, we have it with a torque, we have with a speed. We have a second connector, second axle connector that connects the crank to the connecting rod. This is not a motor. This is just an articulation. This next one is also an axle connector that also works as an articulation. It's not a motor. And to give stability to our project, we have here a slider connector. Okay, so let's proceed to create our goalkeeping mechanism. So let's go to Tinkercad. If you are in Tinkercad classroom, you know how to enter, create, 3D design. So create 3D design. Here in settings, we will have it 400 per 400. Per 400. Good. Here in background color, I will change the color of the background. I will use some blue sky. Okay. Close settings. You can choose the color of your preference here for the background. The ruler is always good to bring a ruler. A ruler always makes your work easier. Now, from basic shapes, I am bringing a box. Just a box here. Box. Nothing special about this box. And now, from the library, shapes library, I'm going to electronics. And the idea is you to start get familiar with the real world components that the engineers and designers use for their projects. We go to electronics motion, and here we choose the DC motor. This is the kind of motor that you find in your mechanical toys. So I will place it here over the box. I will rotate it 90 degrees. Good. 90 degrees also here. Okay. So here and here. Okay. So we have our motor over the box. So remember that in the real motor, this part is the spinning part, this axle. And these two pins is where these two pins, you use them to connect the electricity so it can transform electrical energy into mechanical energy. Good. Now I am bringing a cylinder from basic shapes. I bring a cylinder and I will place it here. here. Good. So as you can see, I place the cylinder perpendicular to the axle and parallel to the front part of to the front side of the motor. I will change the size of this wheel. I think this shorter could be, yes. I will reduce the size a bit. Now let's try to place the center of the cylinder aligned to the center of the axle. So I go to front view, and if you remember from our previous lesson, we can change from perspective to orthographic flat view. Okay, so let's move it. Good. Okay, even let's align here a bit more. Perfect. Yes, that will do. Okay, 1 millimeter. Very good. Now that we have this first part, the motor, we are going to the sim lab, or you can also go to the, sorry, modify here something. Good. Okay, much better. So you can find here in the sim lab group of shapes, you can find the connectors, or you can go directly to the sim lab to start doing tests. So I go to the sim lab. Our first connector is a motor, so it will be an axle connector. I bring the axle connector here and I place it here in the middle. Okay, good. That will do. So, first, this box is static. It must be static. Here it appears as dynamic, so I am making it static. Static. The box is static. Now the motor needs to stay in place. It's dynamic, so I will change it to static. Good. This disc, I need to be dynamic. Is dynamic? Great. I will change the color just in case. Okay, good. Yes, I just changed the color so it's clear what I will do next. I click the connector. I click the connector. Now let's choose the base part. Remember, the base part is the one that will be marked with orange color. In this case, the base part will be the motor, the base component. Now I will choose the rotational part, this disc. So I grab the gray disc and I select the blue part, the blue component. This is a motor, so motor torque, I will increase a bit, 65 could be, and motor speed. Let's add some motor speed. Which one? The one that works best for you. You can do experiments until you find the perfect combination of torque and speed. Let's see if it works. Good, it's spinning. Okay. So first part ready. Blue, orange. I return to the design environment. And from basic shapes, I will bring a box and I will place it here over the cylinder. Now I will build the connecting rod of this crank mechanism. I modify the dimensions of the box. The idea is to create here a long rod. This will work, yes. And it must be located here in one of the sides of the cylinder. Here, okay. So I will move it here. Let's place it here. And let's modify the angle with this arrow. Let's modify the angle like 25 degrees could be. Maybe too much. Okay. Experiment. Can do experiments until you find the perfect combination. Okay. This will do. And I will change the color so we can recognize the different parts. Okay, good. So we have here the connecting rod. So I am placing, I'm going to SimLab, and at this point I will place another axle connector. So axle connector number 2. The base component, okay, this will be the mobile component, the connecting rod in blue, and the orange component. So the base component, the one that is the referent to the movement of the blue part, will be the disk. Good. This one is not a motor, it's not a motor. So motor torque and motor speed must be 0. Their only mission here is to be articulations. Okay. So let's test. Let's check if this works. So play. Ah, it's working. As you can see, it moves like crazy. But don't worry, we will solve it. Okay, perfect. Reset. We return to the 3D design environment. I will duplicate this rod. Command D or Control D or this icon, your choice. So, okay. Let's try to make it parallel to the surface, to the work plane. So, top view. When you design, play with the views. Okay. I think this will do. Okay, good. From view. Okay, I am placing this down. Okay. So now for this one, before adding the connector, I will go to the library, creatures and characters, and I am bringing a person. It will be our goalkeeper. So I am bringing it here. Maybe I need to be bigger. So I press Shift, I click Shift, and I increase the size. Okay, good. This will be our goalkeeper. I will select both shapes. So this this connector for the slider, this rod for the slider, and the goalkeeper, and I will group them, group, Control G, group. So as you can see, this is one single shape. Okay. And now, after grouping them, I will bring another connector. So I go to the sim lab, and here at this point, I bring another connector here. So the base component in orange will be the connecting rod, this one, and the blue component will be the goalkeeper with the rod. Okay. So far we have here three connect. Wait, I think I need to make this a bit longer. Yes. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you have to return and modify something. Okay. Good. It will work now. Now I group. Yes. Sometimes you have to return and correct some mistakes before they get worse and worse. Okay. Let's wait until this finishes rendering. Now, I again attach the parts. This is the orange component. This is the blue component. Much better. Let's test. So we go to the design environment, so to the sim lab environment. Let's wait until it finishes rendering. Now let's test. So as you can see, it kind of works. Let's reduce. Okay. So as you can see, it kind of works, but it has a problem, and it's that it behaves like crazy. Look. So it's not a stable mechanism, and it will get destroyed if you don't add some stability to this mechanism. How to solve the problem? Here is when the slider a connector will help us. So I go again to basic shapes. I bring a box. So from this box, I will create the slider mechanism. Okay. So this is a normal box that I am placing here. And over this box, I will bring a whole box. The idea of this whole box is to drill a hole that allows the connecting rod to pass. Okay. So this will be the slider. So here, let's check that it's drilling the box. Let's check that it's more or less at the same level of the connecting rod. Sorry, of the sliding rod. Okay, yes, it may work. Now, I group, okay, pressing Shift, I group the hole with the box. Group. So this shape here is independent to the others right now. I move it here. Check that the rod is passing through the hole. Very good. I go to SimLab. Now in this case, This component, remember that is static. We need it to be, imagine that you are nailing this component, you are screwing this component to the ground. So I will make it static, make it static. Now it's static. Now from connectors, I bring the slider connector. I place it here. Good. Base component is this box with the hole. Mobile component is again our guy, our goalkeeper with the rod. Okay. So now let's test our machine. As you can see, it's more stable. As you can see, the goalkeeper is not trying to escape. As you can see, this machine is not trying to self-destroy. So, success. Okay. So now let's start creating our football area. Reset here. So let's bring, okay, let's create here the goal area. Okay. So let's place it here. Let's change the color, maybe gray. Yes. Uh-huh. Control D. Okay, here. Control D. Perfect. So let's bring it here. Okay. Good. Okay. So here we have our goal area. Remember that this goal area must be static. Let's test. Okay, maybe a little bit shorter. Let's move it here a bit more. Okay, here's your choice. Yes. Uh-huh. Okay. Static. Now you want to test here shooting throwable objects. We'll choose the ball. Unless you want to play football with a pig or a lobster, your choice, or an anvil. So let's see if we can score goal. Okay, goal. Good. Uh-huh. Perfect. Reset. Let's change the ground. Let's say here this ground. Remember here we can modify the scene settings. Let's make the ground material bouncy rubber, color green. Okay. I think this looks more like, not this one is the most appropriate color. So let's test. Ah, too much friction. So here you can start experimenting. Until you find the perfect combination. Great, green. Ah, maybe too much friction. So let's keep it here in the grid. Color green. Super. So green color. If you don't want to, okay, if you want to keep track of how many balls you are using, you can, of how many goals you can score, you can search here for a shape named wall. You can bring the wall here. $90. Okay, good. Control, Control D. So we have here our wall. So we can keep track of how many goals we scored. Control D. Group. SimLab. Let's make this static. Okay. And now let's start playing football. Okay, not at football. Okay, and with this, we finish our goalkeeper robot. Goal! Great. Okay, I hope you like this project. Don't forget to keep practicing with your connectors with SimLab and see you again in our next lesson. Thank you very much. Have a great day.